You've heard about the dangers facing honeybees. Pests, diseases, and pesticides have stressed the species to a critical point. This threatens to make using honeybees for pollination services much more costly and difficult. The pollination of billions of dollars worth of crops hangs in the balance. However, we have thousands of native pollinators in the United States that are more than able to take up the challenge. When honeybees were brought to this continent along with European explorers in the 1600s, they came to an ecosystem already teeming with pollinators. There are around 4,000 species of native bees in North America alone, such as mason bees, leafcutter bees, bumblebees, longhorn bees, carpenter bees, and sweat bees, just to name a few. That's not to mention the many species of butterflies, moths, bats, birds, beetles, flies, and other beneficial insects that contribute in some way to pollination. These native pollinators, especially native bees, are in general far more efficient at pollinating than honeybees. Our native pollinators are the perfect solution to the problem of pollination gaps left by struggling honeybee colonies. It is of great importance that we work to preserve all pollinators. Our native pollinators face some of the similar dangers as honeybees. Pests and diseases, spread from commercial or hobbyist beekeepers, are thought to wreak havoc, especially on bumblebees. Pesticide exposure also damages pollinator populations. Research has shown that even exposure to pesticides at levels that will not kill the insect, known as sublethal exposure, causes enough brain damage that learned skills are forgotten. A recent study found neonicotinoids, a type of commonly used pesticide, present in 3/4 of the honey that was inspected. While the levels of these pesticides were listed below the level safe for human consumption, the effects of continued exposure are still unknown. Surprisingly, homeowners spray larger quantities of pesticides than commercial agriculture. The last major danger facing our native pollinator species is loss of habitat, both for nesting and feeding. Here are some simple steps you can take to help restore some of the habitat that has been lost. Provide nesting sites for pollinators by leaving a section of your property untouched, or put in supplemental housing. Leave hollow stems, reeds, dead trees, and bare soil, which are all prime real estate for pollinators. Keep in mind that some butterfly species require specific host plants for their young. An example are monarchs and milkweed. For pollinator food, try and plant your garden in such a way as to have at least one plant in bloom at all times during the growing season. If your property is devoid of water, set up a bird bath or a shallow dish. Another option is to plant something with water-collecting adaptations, such as a cup plant. In planning and designing for the future, including native wildlife habitat is essential in order to reap the benefits that they can provide. Taking the steps listed above goes a long way towards reestablishing pollinator populations in your area, in turn building a healthier and more resilient ecosystem. Learning with Spragley's.